Hello everybody, this is Nathan Driskell, and today I'm going to talk about gaming addiction, and we're going to talk about some different kinds of games. We're going to talk about League of Legends, Minecraft, Clash of Clans, even Candy Crush. We're going to talk about many different kind of games and why they're addictive and what we can do to kind of stop this addiction. Because gaming addiction is a severe problem that most people have not really realized because it's so normal and mainstream. And the reason I talk about this is I'm a therapist in the Houston area and I specialize in treating gaming addiction. And how I treat them is I learn to figure out basically what needs these games supply. Everything we do as a human is decided by needs. We have needs to eat, needs to sleep, needs for shelter. Those are basic needs. But gaming has become a need for many people to where it satisfies a very major component in their life. And when someone has this need to game, it is a very strong one. And they often become addicted to the point where I've seen people don't eat, they don't sleep, they just play the game because it's more important than those other needs. And the reason that is often the game is so powerful for them. It's basically biology. Any addiction triggers a dopamine response in the brain, which it could be a chemical addiction like cocaine, marijuana, things of that nature, or it can be a behavioral addiction such as gaming, sex addiction, pornography. It can basically be anything. And that's the real problem. We often assume addiction to be chemically related, but it's also behavioral related too. Just because it's an addiction, just because that someone has a dopamine response, does not mean that they are not an addict, especially if the dopamine response is from a behavior. So today I want to talk a bit about gaming, and the reason I talk a lot about this is I'm a former gaming addict. I spent 6 years playing an online game, and during that time the game was my life. And I've talked before about this, about how this game I used to play, I'd play 10 to 12 hours a day. And when I played this game, it was a very, very important thing for me. The things I thought of most is how I could level up in the game, how I could be more powerful, and how I could achieve and grow better and stronger. And it's kind of what a lot of games today are like. It's getting better, getting stronger, getting faster, getting more notoriety, getting more fame. Because gaming addiction now is seen as a positive thing. I mean, on the internet, you have YouTube stars who play games for a living and people idolize them. I mean, they make money not just from playing games, but from their YouTube videos. And that's another thing. A lot of times, gaming addiction, you don't have to be wonderfully good at these games. You can make YouTube channels. And you could play many different kind of games and review them and talk strategies about them and just play them, like Twitch, for example. Twitch, you can stream, anyone can stream a game that they're playing and people can watch and comment on it. And they can comment in real time and watch in real time. And people make money doing this. Now, I've had many clients of mine who want to be YouTube stars or want to be gaming stars, and they tell their parents, "This is how I'm going to live my life. This is how I'm going to make a living, and because I want to play games the rest of my life." The problem is, even to become a successful YouTube star or a professional gamer is very difficult. Most people are not going to achieve it to where they can make a living at this, but they convince themselves they can because it's fun and they enjoy it. And to them, hey, I don't have to really have a job. I don't really have to go work. I don't have to go do something I don't want to do or go to school or study and spend years of time studying and learning when I can just go play a game and make money. So a lot of the times the clients I see, they're about seniors in high school or freshmen or sophomores in college, and they're either close to dropping out or have dropped out because they want to play games for a living. And their parents are basically saying, "You're crazy. You're an idiot. How come you're not going to be successful? You're going to be on the street." And they say, "Yeah, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to go and make a job and a career at this." And this is a big problem. Gaming addiction, they view as a profession. I can play games. See, that justifies it. They know they're addicts, but if they can make money off of it, it's okay. So the addiction's fine. I mean, I can play 12, 14 hours a day, but I'm making money. It's my livelihood. It's my job. So it's okay. And that's the big problem in this. A lot of times gaming addicts, they find excuses for why they play. I sure know I did for 6 years. First, I'm going to start with Minecraft. We're going to talk about Minecraft real quick because Minecraft is an interesting type of game. Minecraft is an old school type of game where you create things with blocks. The graphics look like they're 10 or 15 years old. It's kind of clunky, kind of cute in a way, but Minecraft is huge. There's millions and millions and millions of people who play Minecraft because you can create anything you want there. I've seen people create machines in Minecraft, can create basic computers in Minecraft. And that projects like that take months or years to make. And it's engineering. There's a lot of good things about Minecraft. So that's the thing about games. Not all games are bad. Not everything about games is bad. That is not true. Some people are like, well, all games are bad. I should never play a game again. Well, you don't have to view it that way. Some games are very good, like Minecraft. Minecraft, you can be very creative. You can be ingenuitive. I've seen people become engineers because they played Minecraft and they realize, hey, I like design. I like to build something. I've seen this happen. And that aspect of Minecraft is very good. Because, hey, you can be creative in it, you can build things, but you see, the problem is it can also be addictive. And for some reason, since I treat patients with autism as well, a lot of my autistic clients are addicted to Minecraft because they have this need to create and build and to kind of show who they are, show their abilities, and Minecraft allows this. And I've seen most of my autistic patients become heavily addicted to Minecraft. Well, they're playing 12, 14, 16 hours a day. Some of these they're playing by themselves, just building. Some of them they're playing online and having friends. And these friends, they want to impress. They want to make more friends, so they build and build and build. And they want to get in these groups where they all build together. And I mean, that's the problem. There's positives to that. If someone's autistic, they have problems communicating in the real world, so the game is easier. And having friends and such is a good thing. But they take it too far because they can easily be obsessed, which can turn into an addiction. So a lot of the clients I see who are autistic love Minecraft so much they're addicted. And I've seen some of them to where the addiction is so bad they don't go to school, they stop living life because all they want to do is be in Minecraft. I've seen this addiction start as early as 7 years old. I've seen it all the way until 20 years old, 24 years old. It doesn't really matter the age. So that's another thing about gaming. A lot of people who are older, of older generations, they don't understand, well, how can young people be addicted? How can even adults be addicted? Come on, this is just for kids. I mean, games are just for kids. That is not true. A lot of adults play games too. Especially now, I'm 36 years old, for example, and I play games. I mean, I grew up playing games. I grew up with the original Nintendo. I grew up 8, 9, 10 years old playing games, so it's my normal. And a lot of people my age play games. And that's one thing to understand is games are not just for 10-year-olds and 15-year-olds. Games are now pretty much all ages. And even older generations, even adults that are 40, 50, 60 are playing games too. And I've even seen some of them be addicted. This is not just a phenomenon that's for the younger generation. The older generation is also addicted too. But one of the main reasons that the younger generation is so addicted is what they grew up in. It is their complete normal. For example, I've had many clients tell me, well, the internet's always been here. I had a 10-year-old, well, the internet's been here forever. Like, no, when I grew up, the internet wasn't here. The internet's always been here. I'm like, no, it has not. A lot of the younger generation cannot understand a world that does not have the internet, that does not have games on demand. They don't understand it. And I've had them look at me, well, what did you do all day? And get this horrified expression, well, if you didn't have the internet and play games, what did you do? I mean, did you throw a stick? Did you throw a ball? What did you do? And well, we had to be more creative, but there was television, there was many other things. And I'm just 36 years old. Imagine 50 years old, 55-year-old, 60 years old. They really don't understand the older generation because the internet is their normal. It is something that they grew up with. And that's something that's very, very important to understand. That the younger generation views games, views the internet as basically a right. I mean, I've had some people say, if I didn't have the internet, I would die. I mean, there's no point in living. I've been told this literally. No point in living if I didn't have the internet. And I'm thinking, you don't know what living is really. If you're going to define life based on a medium such as the internet, you're not really living it. Because there are many other things to do in life besides play a game. But you see, you know why a lot of people say this and believe this? They have fear to do other activities. Most of them are socially awkward. They have trouble making friends, trouble doing things in the real world because they have no one to do it with. So they make excuses to play games because it's comforting and it's their normal. In Minecraft, I've seen that very, very true in that, is that Minecraft is a very common, very easy, well, it's easy to start, it's not easy to do, But Minecraft is a very comforting activity for a lot of people. And basically a lot of these games are. Minecraft is not one of these hyper-competitive games, like say League of Legends, for example, where you can go, you can create, it's more peaceful. And yes, you can get attacked by other players, you can get attacked by in-game elements, but it's more peaceful, and a lot of adults have no problem with it. And again, Minecraft has no real problem in itself. I don't mind it at all. But then again, if you're playing 10, 12, 14 hours a day, that's a problem. So Minecraft, I've seen this addiction so great. And actually, the addiction level in Minecraft, I think, is the highest of anything. And that might sound strange because I've dealt with League of Legends addicts a lot. In Minecraft, I've seen, especially my autistic clients, some of them use diapers because they don't even go to the restroom. They wear the diaper because they don't want to stop. And Minecraft's been the game that I've seen this in. Now, to be honest, as a therapist, I do not even understand how an urge can be so strong to play that you ignore your bodily urges to use a restroom, that you just use it in your pants. I mean, the parents were giving them the diapers because they were using the restroom in their pants and did not care. And they were 12 or 13 years old. We're not talking 5 or 6 years. We're talking 12, 13, 14 years old here. And that's very disturbing. And I've seen this. And I've seen it because then the parents, they come to me and they don't know what to do because I'm like, well, you know, if it's getting to that point, they almost need to be hospitalized because they need a detox period. Now, some of you may think that's very strange, a detox period for a video game addiction. That detox is for drugs. It's the same principle. An addiction is an addiction. The mind is obsessed with it. It needs a period without it so it can get back to a normal state. Detoxing from games is highly important. And I've recommended most of my clients need to be cut off all gaming for a while and learn how to do other activities. Of course, do they want to do that? No. It's a struggle and it's a fight and it's a very difficult addiction. But we're going to go on from Minecraft now to League of Legends. This is an interesting one, and this is also a very severe addiction that I've seen because League of Legends is very hyper-competitive. It's a game where it's a team game where it's a team, 2 teams of 4 players. They pick a champion and they kind of go at it in a fantasy-style environment. The game is basically very, very addictive. It's called a multiplayer battle arena, and these are very common now. Like, the game is kind of evolving into this kind of where you have 2 teams go at it, and it's very, very competitive. See, when you win a match, you gain a level. You move up in rankings, and then when you lose a match, you go down in rankings. The goal is to be one of the best. So when people start out, they start out very badly. They start out poor because it's a new skill, and they study, they research, they play. And as they continue, they get better. They move up in rankings and move up in rankings until eventually they're very good. Now, I'm going to tell you, League of Legends is very, very difficult. It is not an easy game. I myself haven't played it because I don't want to. I could become addicted to it with my gaming addiction past, being my competitive nature. Because I played a game where I was one of the best in the world at one point. I would easily want to go into this and be one of the best in the world and compete, and I do not touch it for this reason. It's too addictive from what I've seen. Even to see and to study what it is, because a lot of times the games I like to play them a bit to study to see why they're addictive. I won't even try that with League of Legends because I'm afraid of it. Because it's so addictive and it's so, I mean, that rush, that thrill of beating someone, of doing well in this, that's an addictive property for me. And that is one of the main fueling components of League of Legends, is that rush of victory, the moving up to feeling good, because that is one that it's really all about. It is a sport, to be blunt. It's called an e-sport, electronic sport, and it's probably going to be in the next Olympics. That might sound crazy to some of you, but esports are going to be Olympic events, either the next Olympics or in the future, and it will happen. And I wouldn't be surprised in 50 years that esports takes the place of real sports. And where the main athletes we admire are video game athletes. I can see that happening as technology increases and it's more immersive. I can see video game athletes surpassing physical real-life athletes in about 50 years. And that might sound crazy and it might sound kind of extreme, but it's all about technology. The more immersive a technology gets, the more addictive it'll be. And if most of your people are doing this and enjoying it, shifts are going to go from sports to it, because more people are going to watch it. It's all about money. And this generates a lot of money. In countries like South Korea, for example, esports are their literal sporting events. They watch them on TV. People train 10, 12, 14 hours a day. It is their livelihood and profession for a lot of these. It is so bad over there that they're making laws to limit gaming access for children because they don't sleep. And that's starting to happen here. We just don't know about it as much because most people have internet in their houses. And it's hard to do studies when people have internet in their house. Most studies are done in internet cafes over across the world, especially in the Asian countries. But League of Legends is very, very addictive. Some of my most severe addicts have been League of Legends addicts. And most of them convince themselves, I can be an esports athlete. I can do this. I can be one of the best in the world. And there's not really any way because it's about reflexes. Those kind of games, it is reflex based. You either have it or you don't. Either you have the innate reflexes to do well and to win in that type of a game, or you do not have it at all. Now, practice and research and all that will get you so far. I mean, you will advance, you will gain levels, but to be one of the best in the world, it will not happen. And one of my jobs as a therapist is to convince my clients, you're not going to be an esports athlete if you're not already one of the best in the world. If you play 2 or 3 years and you play 10 hours a day, it ain't happening. I'm sorry, because the people who are, they are naturally gifted. That's what athletes are. It's a natural-based thing. These athletes who play football, for example, they're gifted. And yes, they train and they work out or they wouldn't be where they are, but they have a natural component. Same as gaming addicts. Same as these people who are esports athletes. They have it. They have their reflexes. They have the connections in their brain to make rapid decisions and rapid movements they're not even conscious of. Most gamers don't have that. And so they get to a point and they plateau. They get to a point and they can't get any better no matter how they do because it's reflex-based. But they tell themselves, yes, I can, and they're stuck. And so my job is to convince them, this is as high as you're getting. You might get a little higher, but to be one of the best in the world to make money is not going to happen. They don't want to hear that because they're addicted. They love it. See, that's kind of a lie. A lot of them don't. It's because they don't know what else to do in life. It's like, yeah, but what else do I do? What else do I do if I don't play this game? I'm nothing. I gotta go get a job. I gotta go work somewhere and be their slave. I'd rather just play a game all day. And a lot of the problems are their parents allow them because their parents don't know what to do. And I tell the parents, well, this might sound cold and people might think I'm very mean by this, but I tell the parents, well, if he's not going to get a job, he's going to do this, you need to kick him out. That he needs to be on the street, he needs to learn to survive, and because you're just enabling his behavior at this point. Because all he's going to do the rest of his life is sit in his room and play games. He's never going to grow, he's never going to change because you allow him to be this way. And I've had some people say, you're cruel, you're mean, how can you tell somebody that? I tell people that all the time. And do you think they want to kick their kid out? No. You know how difficult that is? I mean, I'm not a parent. I'm not going to lie, I'm not a parent. I have no idea the pain that would be to kick my own child out in the street. I can't imagine it. I can't even fathom that kind of pain. So when I recommend this isn't a whim, this isn't lightly, this isn't, oh, we'll just kick him out, no big deal. This is a very serious thing. And most of my League of Legends addicts, they've almost had to been either threatened to be kicked out or kicked out in the street before they changed. Because I want to be the esports athlete, it's all I want to do because they don't want to go to college. They don't want to spend all those years learning. They don't want to spend years to study because they don't know what they want to do with their life. And here's the honest truth. Most of my gaming addicts, they don't know their purpose is why they game. They think their purpose is to game when they really don't know what their purpose really is in life, so they retreat into a game to hide and escape. I see this all the time. In League of Legends, I see this the most. And it's very sad because half of them do not get better. Half of them, they end up homeless on the street, and I never hear from them again. I don't know if they're alive or dead. It's a very severe addiction. And you know, I told the parents, you know, if they're on the street, they're on the street. Eventually, they're going to change because hunger. Eventually, not having been in the elements, being all that. Eventually, something has to change. And if it changes, it changes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I mean, that sounds cruel, but I'll tell you, them sitting on the couch 10 hours a day playing the game, there will be no change. If they are not willing to make the change, they need to be forced to make it. That sounds cruel, that sounds harsh, but this is a severe addiction. It's how I treat it. And Half of them get better, half of them don't. Another game I'm going to talk about is World of Warcraft. It's kind of funny and ironic there because I was a beta tester for it about 10, 12 years ago or something like that. And this is a game where you create a character and it's a role-playing game. There's thousands of people who play, and you kind of join kind of guilds, and you do raids against other guilds and other players, and it's a very it was the most popular game in the world at one point. It's kind of weaned off now. League of Legends, I think, is way surpassed it. But World of Warcraft, I want to mention that because this is where you create a character and you level it up and you kind of play it the way you want to. And gaming like that is also heavily addictive. Because games like that, where if you create another persona, gaming like that, you get to be the other persona. You get to kind of be the other person. And this is the kind of game I was addicted to. I wasn't addicted to World of Warcraft. I mean, I would play it maybe a couple hours here or there, and I'd get bored. But I'd play games where I would be a persona, and I would become somebody else. And those games are highly addictive if you don't like who you are. I hated myself, to be honest. I used to hate myself. I used to think I was a failure and a loser. And a lot of gaming addicts do, by the way. They think that they're losers. They think that they're failures. And they think, hey, you know what? I don't want to feel like a loser or a failure, so I'll play a game where I can feel like I'm a winner. World of Warcraft has those components in it. Because then you join guilds of other players, and you get to have a family. You get to have people who you feel care about you. And I kind of did that as well when I played. I kind of did that as well. And World of Warcraft is highly addictive in that one component as well. So well, I'll go to how we kind of deal with this addiction a little bit more in a second. But I also want to talk about games that have microtransactions. A microtransaction is where you spend a little bit of money here or there for a bonus or a boost. Games like this are Candy Crush and Clash of Clans. These two games are phone-based games, tablet-based games that you can play anywhere, and they're very addictive, and they cost a lot of money. I had a client once who played Clash of Clans, and he would play maybe 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day, and that doesn't sound like much, but he'd play like maybe 5 or 10 minutes here or there, and it'd add up throughout the day. And he'd, buy little power-ups for 99 cents or $1 or $1.50. He'd do that a couple of times a day, 3 or 4 or 5 times a day, something like that. Well, at the end of the month, his phone bill was $300 or $400, and he'd be like, well, why is it so high? So this is the power of a game with microtransactions. $1, do you think about? Do you care about? If it's 99 cents, I don't care. And they make tons of money. And Clash of Clans is that way. Clash of Clans, you have a community, and you build it up, and it gets raided. And it gets attacked throughout the day, and you build it up to survive the attacks. And you're in a community base with other players, and you try to be the best one in that kind of a community. And when you play that game, you want to be number one, the best. And people that try to attack you, you attack them. And if you want to be better than them, you want to be the strongest, you want to have the best clan. And it's highly addictive in that because, well, people are playing it all the time. And these kind of games are making millions and millions of dollars a day. I mean, a game like Candy Crush is another example of a game that's a microtransaction. And it's a puzzle game where you basically, it's like Bejeweled in a way, where you line up candies of certain types, and it deletes other rows of candy, and you have certain goals to achieve while you're playing Candy Crush. And there's hundreds and hundreds of levels, and it starts out very easy, and it gets a lot more difficult as you go to where you want to spend money to kind of pass the level, to get power-ups, to get certain candies that allow you to advance because they're very powerful. And you can pay money for these candies. And people do, and these kind of games make millions and millions of dollars a day. And they're harmless because, see, you can play for free to start out. They're free to start out. But to really advance and do well, you need to pay money in the future. But by then, you're already hooked. You're already an addict. And kids play these games. Adults play these games. Well, adults play these games all the time. And I've seen more adults rack up the phone bills than the kids. Because adults are like, $1 or $2 here. What's the big deal? Next thing, they got a $400 phone bill, and they're thinking, well, why is it so much? And then they start to think, well, maybe I have a problem. Games with microtransactions are very addictive, and you got to be very, very careful because they can suck you in very, very quickly. Real quick before we go, I'm going to have about 5 minutes left here. Real quick, I'm going to talk about how you treat this, how you deal with a gaming addiction. Number one, you have to admit the addiction. If you're a parent and your child's an addict, the child's probably not going to admit they're an addict because they like it. They gain something from it. And the child's probably trying to put the parents against each other, if there's two parents, one against the other, so there's confusion and chaos so they can keep playing. One parent might want to be firm, the other parent might want to be soft. Well, for one, if you're a parent in that scenario, you both have to be on the same page. You both have to agree, well, this is an addiction and this is how we deal with it. We need to cut it back. We need to find other activities. And we also need to watch our own addictions. Most families I see that have a child who's an addict, they have addicts themselves. And sometimes that addiction is also video games of some kind. And the child is modeling the parent. So if you're a parent and you have a child who has this kind of an addiction, you need to ask yourself, what addictions do I have and what am I modeling for my child? Obviously, one of the components is you limit their gaming time. I often recommend that you cut the internet access in your house at certain points, that you gain control of your router or your cable modem or whatever you use for the internet. You gain control to the wireless network in your house, and you change the wireless network key at times, or you even shut it down. And I would do this because, see, these kids are sneaky. They've probably hidden devices that have wireless access, and they're on it without you knowing. So, but if you cut the internet, how are they going to play? I recommend you cut your wireless network access. Another thing to do is you need other activities. As a family, you need to go out and do other things. You need to go out, socialize, be around other people, do things, go to parks, go to museums, go out and do things that are not based on electronics. Board games, for example. Have a family night and play board games. Do something that's not sitting in front of an electronic device. I force myself to go out and do stuff because I have addiction properties. I can sit in front of electronic devices all day and all night if I choose. And can I be honest? Sometimes I do. I'm not this guy. Sometimes I do because I have this addiction properties. Sometimes I force myself to go and do stuff because I can't sit in front of an electronic device all the time, or I'm just going to be addicted as well. Another thing to do is to make sure that you get other friends, that you gain social interactions and relationships. Most of the time, especially the kids, they're addicted because they have no friends. And they convince themselves they're friends or people online. These are not your friends. These are people you play games with. A friend is someone that you talk to that's there for you and you're there for them. Most of these people online are not. They're just people they play games with. But most of these kids, they do not know the difference and they do not know what a true friend is. You need to learn how to make friends and be social. And most of these kids have social anxiety problems, even adults, even teenagers and adults, social anxiety problems. You need to deal with that. You need to be bold. You need to learn how to talk, have communication, how to initiate conversations. And to be honest, some of you might need a therapist for that. This is how I treat internet addiction. To be honest, I spend 20%. When I'm with a client, I spend 20% treating this addiction. I spend 80% treating everything else, often social anxiety. That's usually what I'm treating. And I found that when they start learning to communicate and talk and go out and form relationships, the addiction starts to fade because it has no more purpose. This is how you treat this addiction, by finding out everything else that's wrong. So to recap today. Basically today, we kind of talked about the different kinds of games out there, the different kind of addictions. League of Legends, Minecraft, Clash of Clans, Candy Crush. How no matter what the gaming addiction, it satisfies a need. And how to treat this is to find the underlying components of this addiction. And it can get so severe that, especially your young adults, that they need to know that they cannot just sit around and be an addict forever, that there has to be change, and the parents at times have to be that agent of change. Again, if you want to learn more, you can go to my website. It's www.nathandriskell.com. And there you can find out more information about internet addiction. I also have a blog there. I also do therapeutic words of the day, kind of like little positive affirmations every day based on a word that can kind of give you positive. It can be positive and can be hopeful. And if you have any questions, you can email me. You can even call me on my business line if you have any questions or if you want to schedule an appointment. And again today, guys, I enjoy talking with you. And in a couple weeks, I'm going to have another online seminar, guys. Thank you, everyone.